Hi everyone, it's Nicole here for Lawn Fawn, and I am so excited to be sharing this super adorable Build a House Halloween add-on for you today, creating a fun little scene card with all of the amazing Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. I have started by die cutting the Build a House add-on, so that little window add-on there, from the rectangle reveal wheel set. So just like any of the add-ons from Lawn Fawn, this one also has a great window that fits with the Build a House. On this panel, which was die cut from smooth white cardstock, I'm going to apply Wild Honey, Chipped Sapphire, and Black Soot Distress inks. I'm going to work to get a really great seamless blend here. Now, a lot of that Wild Honey color really isn't going to show. What it's going to do is have this kind of glow down near the horizon line where it's a little bit lighter, and then it's going to darken as we get up towards the top of the panel. Because I'm using regular distress inks on a heavyweight Nina cardstock, it may take a little bit extra work to get that seamless blend. So I applied light to dark with the Wild Honey kind of down near the bottom third. Then we're using a lot of Chipped Sapphire. We're going to go back with Wild Honey and blend that into the Chipped Sapphire, and then finish with Black Soot up near the top of the card. And I like to kind of not only keep that at the top, but kind of come down each side just a little bit. So you can see I'm kind of going around that window opening there. And then we'll go back with Chipped Sapphire and blend that out. Blend and blend. Once I have my background, I'm going to take my new favorite product, the liquid Stardust from Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to take a small paintbrush and splatter this all over the background. And this is going to create some great little sparkly, shimmery splotches all over our background, kind of like a beautiful night sky. I love these for all kinds of things. So I did all of this first because I like to let this liquid Stardust sit and completely dry. While that is drying, I can work on gathering the rest of the components for my card, die cutting the pieces for the Halloween house, and then anything for our landscape. We're going to have a little bit of inking to do for that as well. And so this is a great opportunity to let this sit and dry while we gather up everything else. I was pretty generous with that liquid Stardust because I wanted a lot of shimmer for my spooky card. I cut a landscape there using a simple stitched hillside border from some smooth white cardstock. I get that by die cutting part of the reveal wheel panel again and then using that simple stitched hillside border. Then from some of the autumn glitter Lawn Fawn cardstock, this is the black cardstock, we're going to use the spooky fence border and die cut the fence. I needed the simple stitched hillside first as a guide to know kind of how high to make my spooky fence border. This is going to go in the background of my card. Then we're going to have our simple stitched hillside in the front. Now I didn't quite make that tall enough, so I'm going to shift it up just a tiny bit because I think that's going to look much better. I'm going to double check here with my house and all of my borders. We can go ahead and adhere our spooky fence border then about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom of the card. This really just kind of depends on how high you've die cut that. As I mentioned, I didn't think I die cut mine quite tall enough. I wanted it to stick up taller so you really could see all of the great dimension, or all of the great texture rather, of the spooky fence. On my simple stitched hillside border, I'm going to apply forest moss and peeled paint distress inks. These are my favorite green colors for a more muted fall-like feel. So these colors definitely are better with the dark sky background for this Halloween card rather than something really bright. If I had gone with brighter colors for the background of the Halloween card, I probably would have picked something more like mowed lawn for the greens. So I'm always trying to be really aware of making sure the colors complement each other nicely. These are nice and dark and really go with the Halloween look and feel of this fun card. I can then adhere this along the bottom edge of my background. We're ready to start putting our Build-A-House Halloween add-on together. I've got all of my components here. This tree is actually from the Scalloped Treat Box Haunted House. So I've die cut this from some brown lawnfawn cardstock, and I'm going to tuck it over there to the left of the house. I love this because this is from a previous lawnfawn die collection, but it complements this really well. So something from the 2019 release. I love to go back and see what else I have. I always call it shopping my stash, and I love to see what else I already have that could work with something new. So to kind of make old products or previously released products new again. Then we've got the border that goes along the bottom edge of the house. We've got some roof pieces. I decided to pop up part of that with foam adhesive to give a little depth and dimension to both of the roof pieces for my house. And I've got some great little spider webs here. So the spider webs are from the Build-A-House Halloween add-on. And I die cut those from lawnfawn vellum, ran them through the Xyron sticker maker, and adhered them to my card. I've also got the frame. So that great little reveal wheel Build-A-House add-on frame, that's what I used that goes around the top window of the house. I've got some yellow glitter paper from the spring glitter cardstock collection. So that is the piece back behind the window along the bottom edge. More spider webs, the door, the wood pieces that are covering up the window. Those are from some woodgrain, lawnfawn cardstock. Our bats were die cut from black glitter cardstock. So that same cardstock that I used for this spooky fence border, I'm using here for those little glittery bats that are going to be up in the sky. We've got 2 of those. Going to pop up the door just a little bit here. And then I've got ghosts also from the Build-A-House Halloween add-on, die cut from lawnfawn vellum and adhered to my card. So we've got one kind of coming out from the door, and we're going to have one coming out from above the second story. And I played around with the placement a lot, trying to figure out exactly where I wanted that to go. There's also a little doorknob die cut from orange glitter lawnfawn cardstock. So we're gonna go ahead and adhere our ghost, and I'm still fiddling with him. And I did not like the first place I tucked him. I felt like there was too much going on, and then when I tucked him there, I thought, oh, that's perfect. Kind of helps frame up that window, which is going to have the reveal wheel, the interactive element. So now that I have my Halloween house all complete, I'm going to stamp my sentiment down below, and this is from the Tiny Halloween stamp set. So this is a teeny tiny little Halloween stamp set, and I'm going to stamp "Have a Fabulous Day" using the Lawnfawn Clear Embossing ink and heat embossing with Lawnfawn White embossing powder. That is really going to show up against all the dark colors that we have used for this card design. Now, after I had that, I decided to stamp Boo a couple of times down here near the bottom. This is also from the Tiny Halloween stamp set. And stamp Eek up above in the sky with clear embossing ink. This is going to add a fun little touch to this spooky scene card. I love these little tiny stamp sets because they come with, even though they're super teeny tiny, they come with all kinds of great little images and words that work fantastic. There's one for Christmas and then one for Halloween. Now I'm going to take this awesome Build a House Reveal Wheel template, and I'm going to use the one with the 3 openings. There's also one with 4, and I have taped that temporarily to the reveal wheel, which has been die cut from Bristol Smooth cardstock. Then we're going to stamp this with some images from the Tiny Halloween stamp set, and I stamped some eyes in a couple of them, and then some little teeny tiny bats in the other one. Now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and take some Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers in bright yellow and color this in. I die cut this from Bristol Smooth cardstock so that I could use Zigs for super fast coloring. These are really teeny tiny images, and so I didn't feel like I needed to spend loads of time coloring them in. We'll add a little touch of color here in just a minute. But I want my reveal wheel to be yellow so that it really resembles the light coming from the rest of the windows in the house. So remember, we have the yellow glitter cardstock coming from the window and the door in the bottom or the main level of the house. So I wanted this to have yellow around these little stamped images. We're going to add a little touch of green to some eyes. Just make them a little spooky, a little bit of red. And we'll go in with a black glaze pen and add some detail back into those eyes as well. Then I'm going to take the word eek, and we're going to stamp that a couple of times. We'll stamp the word boo, and we're ready to assemble our reveal wheel. So from the small circle, I guess real quick, I do have a spider, and I'm going to adhere that to the front of the card and add some little eyes with a white pen. I'd forgotten him, and I found him there on my desk, so I thought I better add him before I misplaced him. I'm going to stick a brad through that small circle and go up through the reveal wheel and then flatten it out. This is the magic that makes the reveal wheel turn. So then I can flip this whole thing over, and I want to line it up so that the little window is going to turn around perfectly. And I'm kind of just fiddling with it, and I'm going to flip it over and temporarily tape that in place with some Post-it tape scraps. I have some foam adhesive then on the small circle only. We don't want to put any adhesive on the large circle. And then I've got this background that was created by die cutting some black licorice cardstock with a large stitched rectangle for a background. I like the black better than a white card base. It ties into the Halloween feel better. Then we want to stamp Turn Here to Spook from Tiny Halloween right there on the right of the card. I love this option so that it really works great with Halloween themed cards. We're going to stamp and emboss that in white, buff away any of the powder tool that's left over there. And then we can go back and remove our foam adhesive squares, line this up with our background, and pop that in place. Then we can just simply remove that really quickly and fill in the background with foam adhesive squares now. And we want to keep away from the reveal wheel. In fact, I should have done it on the background. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just popping them off and putting them on the background. And then I'm going to completely cover this with foam adhesive squares. One little tip, because this is a dark card and there's lots of black here, it's a Halloween themed card, I opted to use black foam adhesive squares so that from the side you're not seeing a bunch of white foam. It really blends into the look and feel of this card much better. We'll remove the backing paper from each of those squares, put our reveal wheel panel in place, and then we can simply flip this around to see the spooky images in the window. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Build a House Halloween add-on scene card. Please be sure to visit the lawnfawn blog for more information on this project. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.